let me know where you're tuning in from around the world. Just comment it down below. I'll read a few places. But today's guest, as you saw in my story, is John Legend. I'm so excited to have him because we're going to talk music. We're going to talk about one of his new songs, Actions. But let me see if I can get him on here. He'll probably just join in a moment here. I see we got people from Texas, Italy. Welcome. Norway, wow, cool. It's probably middle of the night for you guys out there. That's exciting. Because I see he just joined here. We got people, of course, from the Netherlands. Yes. What's up, John?
What's up, Zach?
Yo, thanks for jumping on. Super cool.
I'm happy to be here.
We got a lot of questions for you from the audience that I did a story and I saw you shared that as well. Dude, a lot of people want to know, obviously, about your family and your kids and your new show, your wife's show on Quibi, Chrissy's Court. I love the little appearance that you had there too, like helping. That was just a fun, like lighthearted little episode.
Yeah, well, all the episodes are really petty, and you know, it's not a lot of money people are fighting over. Sometimes it's just like roommate disputes, right. And it's all meant to be a little silly and fun. But Chrissy loves that kind of stuff, and she brought me in on a couple of the cases, and we had a good time.
Yeah, it's awesome too. Like, I love the ending because you don't want to be in an awkward situation where like you lost and you lost. It's like she's like, oh, I'll cover the 900.
Chrissy hates making people actually lose. Sometimes she'll just cover it herself.
So one of the questions that we got was, you know, you have the new single Actions, which is awesome. And so you're teasing the new album coming out.
So I have a new album coming late spring, early summer. We're trying to nail down the date. We're trying to finish the album while distancing, which is a little bit awkward. Yeah. So I finished all of my vocals and everything prior to the quarantine, but there are like horn parts that haven't been finished, strings parts, and we're trying to figure out a way for people to do it individually and just kind of add it on top of the music that we have, then mix it. So it's a little bit more complicated trying to just manage the logistics of it all. But the music is sounding so good. The songs I'm really proud of. And we've previewed the album a little bit. We put out a song called Conversations in the Dark earlier this year. And Actions just came out a couple weeks ago. We're going to sneak peek the album even more in another couple weeks. So we've got new music coming for everybody. And then we'll try to finish the album in time for it to come out, you know, probably early June.
That's awesome. Is there anything that changed creatively for you during this process? Because everyone does have to work solo or on their own or send in stuff differently. Has it actually inspired any other ways that you're like, oh, we could actually do, like, this is cool? Has it changed any of it?
Well, none of the writing has changed because we wrote all the songs prior to the quarantine happening. So all the songs were written prior to me even knowing what coronavirus was. And so that hasn't changed the music in that sense, but there's just kind of logistical differences in how we execute finishing the tracks. And I haven't written any new music yet, and I have to figure out how to do it because I'm used to not writing at home. I like writing at the studio when I don't have distractions, when the kids aren't running around. And, you know, I'm home with the kids all day now, of course, and I haven't figured out a way to both write and be at home at the same time. So luckily, I finished the album already, so I don't have a demand for a bunch of new songs. But I haven't written anything since we've been at home, and I don't know if I will.
Yeah, I mean, that is interesting because how do you find your muse? Are you showing up to the studio every day, just sitting down and having to put in time for the inspiration?
Yeah, that's my solution is go like you're going to work. And if you make a goal of coming up with something new every time you go into work, then you come up with it. You figure it out. And it's not great every time, but the fact that you put in the effort will be fruitful at some point.
One of the songs, speaking of songwriting, was mentioned by @VFXBro. He said, how was your experience on Songland? Obviously, you're known for being on The Voice. Songland had a different twist on music in that you're seeing the writing process live, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Was it surprising? Like, because that show like really got a lot of traction. My wife and I love it. But it's also a niche. Like, not many people think about the behind the scenes of writing lyrics.
I love the idea. It really reminded me of how we write in our writing sessions, because I often write with co-writers, and we just sit in a room and bounce ideas off each other. We sing little melodies that don't make sense yet. They might make sense as a melody, but they don't have a lyric yet. Yeah. We'll have just a nugget of an idea that we bounce off of each other. And the show is the first show I've ever seen that gives people a behind-the-scenes look at that happening. And a lot of the producers are the same as those on the board, so we have a lot of connection with the show. Adam Levine's one of the producers as well, and then I'm friends with Ryan Tedder and with Esther Dean and so many of the other creatives on the show. So it's been cool to see that show work. It's coming back for season 2. I think it might be already back, but I know it's coming back. And I think it gives people a real window into what we do as songwriters.
Yeah, I love how are you guys able to see at least the lyrics right beforehand?
We see when they come out there, we just have the lyric sheet and we listen to them sing right at that moment. Seeing the lyric sheet by itself isn't that useful because I need to hear it sung for it to make sense as a song. So when they come out there and they sing it, then I hear what I love about the song, and then I hear very quickly, actually, I hear the things I would fix if I were going to fix it. And everybody's got their own taste and their own standards, but you just hear certain things. You're like, oh, that doesn't work for me. How could I fix it to make it better? And that's what we try to do.
Yeah. One of the questions for songwriting came from @G_Einwasa says, what advice do you have for upcoming songwriters and musicians?
Well, my advice is, first of all, I think study the greats. So my friend Quincy Jones says, steal from the greats, which basically means listen to the people you love and take from them. Like listen to how they write songs, listen to how they arrange songs, and let that influence you. It's okay to be influenced by your influences. Mm-hmm. And then once you have soaked all that in and practiced your craft, then you'll start to develop your own style anyway. But it comes from listening, learning, practicing, and then you'll start to develop your own style. And I think the key for me is be productive, be prolific. So go to the well a lot, and everything you write is not going to be amazing. But if you keep writing, then you'll come up with some great stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, one of the questions that touches on that is from I_America90 says, who's a music legend from a previous era that you would have dreamed of working with? Which kind of mentions, your legends or inspirations.
Nina Simone would have been one. I named my daughter Luna Simone with a nod to her. I am a big fan of her work. I never got to meet her while she was still alive. I would have loved to spend time with her and make music with her.
That's awesome. For your kids, how do you raise kids and not put pressure on, like, following in dad's footsteps or mom's footsteps? Is there a version of if they get into music where you can you push them, but like, what's your view on that? But not at the same time.
Well, I feel like at this early stage in their lives, my daughter will be 4 next week, and my son will be 2 in May. At this early stage, you just want to see what they like. They both love music. They love dancing. They love listening to my music. They love listening to other artists. And music is really exciting and inspiring for them. But I don't know yet if they'll want to actually create music. But if they do, I do want to have kind of a light touch to some degree, but I also want to make it clear to them that if they want to do it and do it really well, that there's no shortcut to doing that. I started taking lessons when I was 4 years old to play the piano. I was singing in church my whole childhood, singing in school my whole childhood. And that doesn't mean that's the only way to be successful, but if you want to develop your chops, you have to actually practice. You actually have to hone your craft. And if they're going to do it, I want them to do it without taking those shortcuts.
Yeah. Has this time for you, because you said you're usually going into the studio, I imagine you have a lot more saturated time with your kids and family.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. I think they love it. I think they're happy.
They're like, Dad's home. Mom's home.
Dad's home all the time. My daughter is we're very close, and she loves getting my one-on-one attention. So she'll try to, like, sneak me to another room so that Miles doesn't get to play with us. She wants like exclusive daddy time as much as possible.
Yeah.
But I think they're pretty happy that we're home so much right now.
That's awesome. Before I let you go, and before I'll add a story to actions so people can go download that and listen to it if they haven't yet. Obviously, you're such a prolific writer that people have these 8-bit versions of a lot of your songs. So I mixed in some of your songs. We found this
8-bit version. What does that mean?
So like, check this out. This is on Spotify. There's a playlist. We mixed in a few of non-John Legend songs as well. But let's see if you can guess how quickly you can guess what song this is.
That's Conversations in the Dark.
Yep, Conversations in the Dark. Here's a non-John Legend song.
Michael Jackson?
Billie Jean.
Billie Jean, yeah. That's Love Me Now.
Love Me Now.
That's Made to Love.
This is Preach.
Oh, similar chords.
You got a style, I guess.
Of course.
Yep, Sweet Child of Mine.
Oh, oh, this is the Beatles.
This is Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, Queen. Sorry. That's All of Me.
It's you got to hear a lot of covers of your music.
Yeah, I love it. I love going on Instagram and seeing all the different covers people do. YouTube, you know, people. I love when people cover my songs.
Yeah.
I think as a songwriter, it feels like an accomplishment to know that people want to sing your songs. Mm-hmm. That something you've written resonates with them, and that they want to do their own version of it. And so I always feel like it's a high compliment when people want to cover my songs. Yeah. So cover them, folks. Feel free.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, yeah, it totally helps the music too spread, even though it's not.
Yeah,
in your
it helps it spread, and it's really cool to see. It's like a conversation that we're having across the world, where people have their own interpretations of the music, and I think that's really powerful.
For actions, the last question here is from White Wolf Plays. Like, how did you get the inspiration for action? And can you walk us through how, like, the lyric process and melody, like, how did that come about?
Yeah, well, so the song, I wrote it with Oak Felder, who's a great producer, produced a lot of your favorite artists. But his idea was to use the same sample that Dre and Snoop used on Next Episode. It's this old song called The Edge from the 70s. But it's very identified with Snoop and Dre, and their song, the lyric, you know, it starts out with that la da 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 da. It's a you know, and so I thought we were talking about the idea about actions speaking louder than words, and then we kind of made that into actions speak louder than love songs, and then I loved using the la da 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 idea to kind of talk about the songwriting process, because that's how I write songs. I start with these melodies that don't have any words yet. And so we use that la da 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 da, and every verse talks about how I'm not living up to the words of my songs. And you know, I thought about, particularly when I started my career, I was a very confirmed bachelor for a while, and I was enjoying being single, and I was, you know, touring all around the world, and I wasn't a good boyfriend. But I was writing these songs that, you know, made me seem like the most romantic guy in the world. And so that's really kind of the real life basis for why I thought these lyrics made sense.
Do you and Chrissy have a relationship where you preview the song to her and she gives you the honest notes, or she'll just say, "Oh, that."
No, she doesn't like to over edit my music. She likes to hear it when it's kind of pretty far along.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't like to hear the early demos, because then if she falls in love with that and we change the arrangement or
Like, I
change
like the
something
original
about it.
one.
Yeah, exactly. So she'd rather hear it when it's closer to being done.
Yeah.
But she's been hearing a lot of the new songs lately, and she's into it.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much for joining. Again, I'm going to link actions on a swipe up in the stories right after this. But thanks so much, John, for joining, and stay safe.
Thanks for having me, Zach. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us.
Yeah. Peace, guys. Thanks again for hanging out this afternoon. I'll be on tomorrow with another special guest, actually another musician, so this will be fun. I'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. And again, I'll link actions and some of John's music right in the story after this. All right, guys, take care. Be safe. See you tomorrow.